Welcome to Hey Boo, a witches podcast, where we unite as modern mystics, as cosmic sisters, and as believers in the extraordinary. I'm Meika Cooper.
And I'm Kristen Schaefer. Let's journey together across continents and constellations as we embrace the magic that weaves our stories together.
Are you ready to embark on this voyage, dear boos? The stars await, the cauldron bubbles, and the magic beckons.
Tune in,
Turn on, and let the enchantment begin.
Happy New Year, Boo!
Happy New Year! I love it. How are you?
I'm doing awesome. We just hopped on, and I have to share that, last night I was getting this intuitive hit. I'm like, you're going to be wearing green tomorrow. And I didn't want to text you and be like, what are you wearing? I just wanted to see, is this a thing? Because it's a thing now.
It's become a thing. Every time we come on, we end up wearing the same color, and we're not planning this. Like, I had no idea. I was looking, I'm like, what am I going to wear today? And I was like, just feels green. It feels like a green day. It feels like a green day, kind of like blending into the background a little bit, just being one with the environment. Like, yeah.
I love that we're on the same wardrobe wavelength. Going through the Rolodex of my wardrobe, and I went down there, and it was interesting because there's different variations of green too, right? But to know that we actually picked the same.
I know, this kind of darker shade of green.
Yeah.
So cool. I love it.
I want to keep it going though. We're not going to talk to each other about what we wear. No. I want to see how long we can go.
Yeah, exactly. We're 3 for 3 right now.
3 for 3. It's kind of crazy. And the only thing is I did my hair differently because we have been doing our hair also very similar, but I just, I didn't wash it last night. So I'm like, just get it out of my face.
You look great too, by the way. I love your haircut and your makeup and everything. It looks great.
Thank you. I don't think I put a lick of makeup on this entire winter break. So I feel like
I hear you. Cleo and I were like, Cleo goes this morning, he goes, okay, I think this might be the 3rd day in a row that I'm wearing the same outfit. I'm like, nah.
Totally.
Who cares?
Nobody, absolutely nobody cares.
No, not at all. Although we're sending that message to our kids because the kids were like, Mom, I can wear this to school. I wore it yesterday. It's fine. I'm like, no, honey, for school, we need to change our clothes. Okay. When we're home, it's okay. But you don't want to be a stinky boy.
Yeah. It's something called hygiene. I know we call it pajama Sundays. Like, we just don't get out of our pajamas, but I want to keep it a novelty. I don't want him to think that this is just a way of being, but it's cool to be lazy. It's cool to be lazy every once in a while. You gotta let your body reset.
Totally. Well, my new thing is like outfits that you can wear to bed and like loungewear. Like, so the top can look very Zoom presentable and I can go to the store in it. Like I ordered 10 different sets just to see what I liked. And then I found my favorite one and then ordered it in every color. So awesome. I was like, that's my new thing.
I love it. Yeah. I mean, am I wearing jeans or am I wearing sweatpants right now? Nobody knows.
Exactly.
Or am I pantsless? Maybe it's no pants.
You never know.
It's all a mystery.
Exactly.
Holidays. I know I've been working through some physical distressors, and I think this is a very insightful experience you've been going through because I think a lot of people could relate to what you've been dealing with.
Yeah, it's been, even the past couple weeks have been so eye-opening, and I have learned so much. And I've talked about this. I don't know if I talked about this on the show. I feel like I talked about it.
You haven't.
I talk about it a lot, but last year I was diagnosed with 2 autoimmune diseases. So I've been working through that. And I had this summer in Peru, I had an amazing healing experience where I couldn't walk going into Peru after my ayahuasca ceremony with this particular shaman who was absolutely amazing. I walked 10 miles the next day. It was like going from just locked in my body to freedom. And for me, it was about repressed anger. I didn't understand that I had all this repressed anger. Cut to these past couple months, some of the autoimmune pain has been coming back. And I thought, oh my God, what is happening? What am I, what's in there? What am I doing that, I thought that I had completely healed this. So a couple things have been coming forward. The first thing is about my empathic nature. And I know that probably a lot of people listening into this are empaths. And I believe that we're all empaths to a certain extent. Just some people have a higher degree of empathicness. I was told one time by a healer that there's 30 criteria of an absolute empath, like the max degree of an empath that you can be. And that I met 29 of those 30. Wow. And so I do feel that I am a highly sensitive person, as I'm sure most of our witchy friends out there are as well. And so I want to share this. I think it's really important. I've been reading this book from Gabor Mate called When the Body Says No. And I'm reading a lot about the science and the emotional component and the spiritual component of autoimmune diseases. And one thing that he said that intuitively I knew, but it was such confirmation to hear it from a doctor and somebody who has studied this on the scientific level. And he said that the immune system is like a floating brain, and it's looking for self and non-self. So the non-self things being disease, viruses, and so your immune system goes non-self, foreign body, attack, attack. But when we have repressed emotion, repressed anger, specifically for me, and this was the part that I found really interesting, as an empath, other people's emotions that you're holding onto, that you're carrying within your own body, your body gets really confused and it starts to attack. And so I've been noticing for myself, it's been very apparent where I have been holding other people's emotions, other people's trauma, other people's stuff. And it's confusing the hell out of my body because it's not mine to carry. It's not my job. I believe that it's a gift. And part of my gift is understanding other people's trauma. Like I can just tap right in and go, boop, that's where your pain is. That's where your trauma is. That's where it comes from, whether it's this lifetime, past lifetime, ancestral emotional DNA. And I can go right there. And what I do with my family, especially, or what I have done in the past with my family, especially, is go, oh, there's your pain, there's your trauma. Let me do like a little dance with your pain and trauma so you don't have to feel it. If I can like know that maybe you're kind of going into that space of an old disempowering belief or thought or feeling or trauma, then I'll catch you before you get there. Let me do this little thing over here. Let me say this certain thing, or let me be this certain way for you so you don't feel that. And what I'm doing to myself is depleting myself. I'm depleting my own energy because I'm not even with myself. I'm with the other person in their stuff, and I'm trying to manipulate their process. I'm trying to not let them feel what they probably need to feel in order to heal it. And so I've been really aware of that for myself. And the way it's showing up is I'm being very truthful with people, and this is a new facet of self for me, is to, because my body won't let me not speak the truth. It just won't. It won't hold it anymore. It's like I can't pretend. I can't repress. It has to speak, and in order to heal. And so I'm witnessing this. It's almost like I'm sort of almost outside of myself watching this process happen in a way. And so it's coming out maybe a little tough love for people around me. I see you doing this. I see you going to this place, and it's time to stop. It's time to heal that part of yourself. Let's not do this anymore. It's here, it's surfaced, and it can be hard for people who are used to me coming from the space of, oh, let me like coddle that space inside of you so you don't have to deal with it. We're kind of learning as a family, and a lot of it's not even on a conscious level, learning as a family to just be with what is coming up for each person. I'm stepping out of the role of the emotional controller, like let me, the emotional fixer, because really I'm not fixing anything. I'm just, I realize I'm denying people the dignity of their own process.
It sounds like your emotional body is at capacity, and
Matt.
right, you're maxed out. And so that's where the physical ailment, it's like spewing out now because you can't hold any more space for it. The thought that went through my head is how I've been labeled a lawnmower parent. When you have a lot of challenges growing up, you want to remove them for your own child, and that can
Sure.
be right, but that can also not be of benefit to them. So I was thinking like, oh my God, Meika's a shaman lawnmower. You want people to feel less of what they're feeling, but you let that pass through themselves for it to fully be released. But I love that it comes from a place of caring and love and wanting to minimize their pain.
Yeah, it does. It does. And like, I thank you for that. And I recognize that. And at the same time, part of where we're at as a collective is we have to feel our way through this. We've been so conditioned, especially in this century, of popping a pill. Like if we feel something, I don't want to feel that. Let me drink, let me pop a pill, and let me numb, let me stuff down. We can't get to where we're going. Our emotions, they're a guidance system. And I think it's so important to learn that all emotions are, it's cliche, like their energy, right? Their energy and motion, they're all worthy and beautiful, and they need to be felt. That saying, you have to go, you have to like go into it to get out of it. You have to go through it to actually like to shift. And
you have to feel it to heal it.
Feel it to heal it. Thank you. That's what I was looking for. And I was with my son yesterday, and it was one of the first times he was angry, he was mad, he was sad, he was not feeling good inside about how he was showing up, how we were showing up for him. It's very rare for him to have a meltdown. He was having a meltdown. And my first inclination was, come here. I wanted to take it all. I was like, come here. And he wouldn't come to me. I was like, okay, this is probably good. This is testing ground for me. I don't have to hold it. I don't have to take it from him. And I was like, you know what? Cry, be angry, be mad. Here's a pillow. I said, I'm going to leave you. And he goes, I want to talk about it. I said, no, I don't think we're going to get anywhere. I think we're probably going to go in circles. I said, I'm going to go. I have a meeting that I have to be at, and I am going to go into the other room, and I am going to let you do this on your own. I said, all it takes is you crying. I said, cry as hard as you can, punch the pillows as hard as you can. And when you feel like it's all out of your body, then I'll come back in and we'll talk about it. And so he did that. He ended up falling asleep. I went in and he was like out for an hour, but it was like, okay, like I have to be able to step aside so they can learn, my boys can learn how to move the emotion through them. I didn't do it. I stuffed it down. I stuffed it down until, here I am, or here I was with all this autoimmune stuff. So,
right. I mean, it's a generational thing too. I look at my parents and everything is swept under the rug.
Yeah.
So it's deprogramming that way of dealing with things. It's letting those triggers be your teachers and sitting into the discomfort of it, because it'll just keep coming back.
Yeah.
So now when something comes up that upsets me, I'm like, what's the lesson? What's the lesson? I want to know it quickly so that I can pass through, because I don't want to repeat it again. And so we do that. If you find the same recurring issue coming back, it's because you're not facing it. You're putting that Band-Aid on it, which is, sort of the Western medicine way of looking at it with the pill popping. Band-Aids don't fix things. It's
right.
Just,
Right. Yeah, exactly. I feel the need to say this. This show will attract a lot of empaths. I heard this message a couple of years ago when I was over feeling what my son was going through. And I heard an intuitive voice say, untangle. And I saw my little, I call them tentacles, my little energy tentacles that were so entwined in his pain. And then I heard untangle, and I went, and I saw myself like retract. And I've been really trying to practice that, especially with my family, because families are like our training ground, right? It's our curriculum. They're the people that can trigger us the most, and it's the safest place to play as well. And so just retracting that energy and calling my energy back into me as the safe space, the home, finding myself getting better and better at setting up these energetic boundaries. And the first step to setting up a boundary is calling my own energy back into myself. Because I feel so often I call myself the nosy psychic or the nosy empath. It's just like, oh, let me feel how you're feeling. And it's like, God, I don't have to do that all the time. It's okay to taste the water a little bit and empathize for a second, but not hold it. But I find myself this enmeshment happening with my energy and other people's energy, and to where I don't know where I start and they begin. And so just that first step of untangle.
Recognizing that, because of your line of work, you speak to so many people who are processing a lot of information. And so this is your work right now, and figuring out how you're able to do this long term. It's not sustainable the way that you're doing it, because you're just going to keep making yourself sick. Exactly. But I just realized something. Do you remember a few weeks ago when you were feeling good? I sent you a text. I'm like, I just keep getting this hit. I talked to you about unraveling, and I'm wondering if it was around the same time that the detangling of the tentacles, like it's a very similar metaphor that you came to the same conclusion.
And I did that, what you said about like unraveling that energy around the spine, because for me, it's very spinal, like everything shows up in the spine. That was such a wonderful and helpful image to have, to untangle that visually, like when you said that, so visually create more space around my spine. It's all about, for me, and I think for a lot of people right now, sometimes our energy is tight and because we are kind of clogged as empaths with other people's stuff and our own repressed stuff. And so just that imagery of untangling, letting go, and creating more space, like almost like I've been imagining the cells of my body, not like this, but where there's way more space than even cells. So it's just internally opening up. Feels a lot better.
It does. When I did that, because I got the chills, and so it was like a hit again of she did the right thing. This is what you needed to see.
Yes.
Yes, I did that because I was like, woo!
Got it. Felt it.
But I think it's incredible that you went to Peru not being able to walk, and then I love your mug.
I know, this is a present from Kristen.
I saw that. I'm like, that is just the perfect little.
Oh, it's my mug every day. Like I wash it out and use it every day.
Oh, that makes me so happy. For more context, and I hope it's okay that I share this, we can cut it if not, but you were diagnosed with Hashimoto's.
Yes, Hashimoto's and polymyalgia rheumatica. For layman's terms, it's your body attacking your muscles.
Wow, that is a mouthful. Say that again.
Polymyalgia rheumatica. And it's kind of like a blanket, term that they use for autoimmune. And they're kind of like, well, I don't really know what's happening. But when I've gone to these incredible healers, everyone has said the same thing, that my trauma, if you want to call it, or other people's trauma that I'm holding on to, whatever it is inside of me, is stored in my fascia. It's stored in that layer over the muscles. It makes sense that that's where the autoimmune stuff is showing up. It's like, attack. What is this? What's happening here? If all of that stuff is repressed in that area of my body.
So for people who are experiencing the same diagnosis, what would you say to them in another approach to dismantling the symptoms of it?
Probably the process that was in the beginning, and it just came. It was just an intuitive hit because I didn't know what else to do. I found myself in the middle of the night, and I felt like a big blanket of darkness had been placed over me, and I didn't know what was going on. Hadn't felt that level of emotional sadness, depression, pain, just everything that just kind of came crashing down upon me is what it felt like. And I went into the living room and I turned on the fireplace and I got my yoga mat out, and it was even hard to lay down. I was in so much pain. I got a bunch of pillows and tried to get as comfortable as I can, and I closed my eyes. And I started to call back. I call it soul retrieval now, but I didn't really know what I was doing. And you don't have to know what you're doing in order to do it. It's really calling back all of the spaces and energy that you have either given away or judged as not enough, put down, been embarrassed of, shamed. I didn't really know what I was doing. Like I said, I closed my eyes and I was like, what's in here that needs to be healed and needs to come back home to my heart, to me. And it was just, as I closed my eyes, I got all these images of things that maybe I had done as a teenager or in college or as a kid, or things that I had judged myself for, spaces where I had not been in integrity with myself and given my power away. All of those spaces, I just went with my heart. I went to those places because it was almost like these little versions of me were hiding. They were like hiding out, like, don't see me, I'm embarrassed, I'm shamed. And I would go with my heart energy and just go and love them, just like a mother, just love that part until it felt like it came back home. And then I'd go out and it was like, I'm kind of like excavating, looking, where are you? Okay, boom. And then calling it back in. So it's just really being present with those spaces, that allowing the spaces that you've judged or that you have shamed or that you have given your energy away to come back. And really, it just takes a moment, 20 minutes of sitting with yourself and just asking it to be revealed, and then setting the intention to love those spaces. It sounds almost simplistic, but it was the first process of, even, I would say, not deeper processes because it's a very deep process, but I continue that process and keep finding deeper layers. There's more in there. And eventually all those spaces will integrate back into the heart space. It'll all integrate back into your power, back into alignment with your empowered nature.
That's really beautiful. And as simplistic as you think it may sound, I would say for myself would have a hard time doing it because we're so caught up in doom scrolling and, doing other things to keep our minds busy, that reflection is actually hard for people to sit and force them. It's like journaling or meditating. It's a form of meditation where you sit and you can dig deep into your consciousness and think about those moments, because they will pop up. You feel that shame, or you feel that, like, why did I do that? And not being able to sit with it and have grace with yourself, which you've described so beautifully. I think that's a great exercise.
Even if it sounds challenging or daunting, or like, oh gosh, I don't know if I could sit with myself like that. I understand that, because that's how I feel about journaling a lot. I'm like, like that sitting with yourself sometimes can be the hardest thing to do. And I would say just take one space at a time. For me, I was in so much pain and agony. I didn't even choose it. It just all came flooding in. It was boom, 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 boom. I sat with myself. I sat down and it just all came in. But if there's even one piece at a time, one place at a time where you're like, hey, you know, I shamed that part of myself. When I was a teenager, I did that and I'm still judging that part of me really hard. Let me sit with that version of self and love that version of self. Take it one step at a time, one instant at a time.
Yeah, baby steps.
Baby steps.
Yeah.
Baby
It's
steps.
sort of
It
like
can
when,
feel so overwhelming.
right. If you want to look at how those emotions translate to our physical world, it's the clutter, you know?
Yes.
So it's just doing that first junk drawer, just one drawer out of your whole house. That seems a lot less daunting than saying, oh my God, I need to clean out the garage or my closet or something.
Totally. Yep. Yeah. One step at a time in those energetic spaces. Gosh, it just feels so good when you just, like you said, you clean out the one junk drawer. And what happens when you do the one thing, it's incredible. Give it a quick example of how this works, even in the physical realm. So I had like 3,000 unread emails. And every time I would look at my phone, I get this like a nervousness when I look at my emails. Cause I'm like, what's in there? What if I clear 100? What if I just clear 100? Let me start with 100. And so I started with 100 and then that felt so good. I was like, well, what if I do 100 more? It only took me a minute to clear 100. I wonder how fast I could clear 1,000. So I was like playing it like a video game and pretty soon I was at 0. I had looked through all my emails. Everything was cleared and it felt so good. And then what happened on the energetic level, when you clear space like that, it makes room for downloads and manifestations and things that you're really wanting to call into your space. Right after that, I was like, that felt really good. Cool. Now I thought that was it. You know, I cleared that. That's all I'm going to get out of that. I immediately went into the bath and I wasn't thinking about anything, but I got this incredible download on something that Cleo and I are working on a new project for our business. And I got the download of all downloads. And I was, and something in me went, that it was a direct correlation to you cleaning out your emails. That energy clog was clogging up the channel, right? So you clear your channel and the downloads come in. So it's just so interesting how seemingly little things on the physical level can affect the spiritual level as well.
Absolutely. And right before you shared that, I wanted to say, you know, you could attach these moments that are coming back into a room, to a drawer, to a closet, that thing that you haven't processed or sat with, the attachment of, I'm going to clean out this one drawer and this is going to be that moment that I felt embarrassed or ashamed when I did XYZ. And when I clean out that drawer, I'm going to release any and all emotion tied to that moment, so I never have to feel this again. Back to the inquiry of how would you start to chip away spiritually and emotionally at an autoimmune disease and have it translate to your physical well-being. I think that would be a really great exercise to start and see what happens.
Yeah, that's really good. That's really good. And I like equating it to a drawer or a closet because
it's stored.
This is home. You know what I mean? Like your spiritual being is home, and to clear out the spaces in your home, you know, spiritually, it feels good. It feels good. It feels safe. It feels calm. It feels clean. It feels pure. Yes. So I love that. Beautiful. Awesome.
Like, how are you on the scale of 1 to 10? 1 still feeling like icky?
I don't think I've ever felt better as far as being home, that feeling of home, good inside myself, confident in who I am. The spaces and places that I used to stress or worry, it's like, wow, it's almost like this new lens. I'm just seeing through this clearer lens. And on the physical level, I've just been so fortunate to find these just amazing healers in my life who have been helping me through this. And my functional medicine doctor, because when it started to come back, I was like, what am I doing? I thought I healed all this stuff and now it's coming back. There must be so much more in there that I'm not seeing. And she's, let me reframe something for you. She's like, there's always going to be more spaces to clear. It's a continual process of healing and evolving. We're all on that trajectory.
Yeah, you're never done. You're never done.
You're never done, which is a beautiful thing. However, Meika, you've done a lot of work. She's like, I want you to get that you've done the heavy lifting for this, and that your body has to learn what it's like to not be in that pain cycle. It's still kind of remembering that groove, even though you've done a lot of the work. And this was my intuition too. She's like, at this point in time, I think that it's going to be in your best interest to possibly take more of the Western route to cut the pain cycle for your body. Right now, I'm on a steroid, and I am on just a couple things that are supposed to calm the immune system. There's a training that my body has been in as far as how we naturally for so long have gone to the pain, resided in the pain. And so I'm giving my body a break from that. And I feel really good. And I feel like this is not going to be something that takes a long time. I've got to let my body feel what it feels like to not be in the pain. And I've done all like the behind the scenes work. The other part of it, I really am, in hindsight, glad that the pain came back, because it showed me the next level. The repressed anger was the main source of where the confusion with the immune system was coming from. And then the empathic nature and how I was channeling my empathic nature, how I was dealing with my empathic nature, that needed to shift. So without the pain coming back, I wouldn't have looked at that on a deeper level. So right now I feel better than I've ever felt, because I'm not taking on other people's stuff anymore. And I'm out of the pain part of it, because I am doing the Western to try and knock out just that cycle. And that should be probably, I'm imagining maybe 3 or 4 more weeks of that. And then I'm imagining that everything's going to kind of regulate in the physical.
So really it just started with an awareness of it so that you could stop the habit of taking on someone's stuff. Are you doing other things as well to guard or clear out stuff that isn't yours? Do we want to share exercises you go through?
Yes. One that is probably, it's probably more kind of common knowledge. Sometimes the more simple, the more profound. So for me, I've been way more present. So it's like reminding myself of where I am and how I'm feeling almost in every moment. So it's brought me to a state of presence. And then in that presence, I'm aware of when I am getting my little energy tentacles into people. And then the process is immediately when I feel it, I retract my energy, and then ball of white light coming down through all of my chakras, out the bottoms of the feet, clearing out anything that I've collected. And it can be like in a second, just like a quick clear. And then I put my little bubble of light around me. I was getting groceries the other day, and I have to take things slow. Like everything's very slowed down just because of the pain levels and everything. So I was walking very carefully. I shouldn't say carefully, I was just easily walking with ease through the grocery store and just being very aware. Hey, is my bubble on? Am I clear? Am I in my own energy field? And just having that as a practice has been amazing.
It's methodical.
Yes.
Being methodical forces you to be present.
Yes, exactly. Just taking it one step at a time, and just like really getting in check with my energy. Very simple water, like way more water, just clearing from the inside, and water rituals. Like when I get in the bath, I take like at least 1, maybe 2 baths a day, because I love water. I love soaking myself in water, and I'm more intentional with my baths. I've been putting crystals in my bath, and when I get in the bath, just intentional. It's just setting the intention to clear, because right now my focus is on self. In order to be of better service to others in my family and others around me. Like I have to take dominion over my energetic field and make it as clean and pristine as I can.
It's the same concept as when in an airplane, when they say put your mask on first.
Yes.
You can't help others until you are at your fullest energetic capacity.
And I think so many empaths are so used to giving. How can I help you? I want to, because we feel so much. We want to help and fix. And I think that just holding our own energy sacred and starting there first before we give. Like I think so many empaths, because I work with mostly empaths, and we are all great givers, but what there is to learn is to be a great receiver. So that's been a mantra of mine. Like I'm a great giver, and I am an excellent receiver, and learning to receive.
It's hard because we're programmed to be the givers, and self-care is the best thing you could possibly do for yourself to be able to be the best giver. It doesn't seem like it goes together, but it does. It's very synonymous. I do prioritize my self-care, and anyone who might look at that is like, God, she seems really selfish. She's doing a lot of things. It's not. I don't care. I heard this term the other day on Smartlets. You put it so brilliantly. I can't remember it. I'll have to come back to it. But an indifference to judgment, where you of course you care what people think, but it has nothing to do with them. This is about what you need to do for yourself to be there for others. But I was going to say, The other piece that I love too about emotionally or energetically purging, that if you can always tie it back to some form of salt water. So whether it's sweating, crying, or immersing yourself in a nice Epsom salt bath, how that's energetically very clearing as well
Yes.
to the body. The other concept I love sharing is seeing yourself as an energetic ball of light like the sun emanating your rays out, because you can't dim the sun. It's massive energy and light. That idea sometimes floats around in my mind when I feel like I'm getting overwhelmed in a crowd or my bubble feels really tight around me. I just want to blast out.
Yes, I love that. Kaleo and I have a term. It's either, because he likes to call it shining, and I was more of a shielder, but I think
Shield or
both. It's
shining.
like, yeah, like we're like, are you shining or shielding? And I like both. Like, why can't you do both? You know, why can't it be your shine is your shield? I have a new mentor who I just love, and she said, I have made a vow to myself that I only allow energy into my space that is at the same frequency or higher. So I'm not allowing the lower vibrations into my space. She's like, I just don't really want it anymore. I like that. I like that
That's
for
great.
where I'm at right now. You know, I think
Cool.
that's really empowering. Just be like, this is what I allow. And you might find that people or things kind of fall away once you make that vow that are not in alignment with it. Doesn't make it better or you better or worse. It's just what you allow into your space.
It's the same concept as manifesting something. I love the phrase this or something better.
Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
like that you shared about how you can also do that with energy bodies and people around you.
Yeah, for sure.
That's
For
great
sure.
insight. How did you
Yeah.
find this mentor?
I've been following her for a long time. She just kind of came, I don't, just like anything that's in alignment. I was asking for something. I've been asking, kind of going like this, tapping, you know, and I would see things from her, and it's like she speaks. She's like, she calls herself a priestess. She's so witchy.
I love it.
She's a badass. She is such a badass, and I just always appreciated her unabashedly. She is so herself. Just here I am, and in such a shiny, real way. There's no bullshit about her. She's an activator. I've just been watching her. You know, I've just been watching her online and how she does her thing, and I feel certain things in her presence. She activates certain parts of me. One of her gifts is she's like a money activator, abundance activator. It radiates from her, like she unlocks portals for people.
That's a
You know,
cool
it's just like
superpower.
she's like in her full power with that. And I love it. And her story was very similar to mine. She's like, I got sick. I was overdoing, I was overextending my energy. Like we have a lot of parallels. So I felt she really understands where I am because our stories were so similar. And I felt like the things that I wanted to learn, she's got. And so that's how I found her. Just watching and feeling what I felt like inside.
Well, that was no coincidence that you guys made that connection. Is this also the same woman that you got the white feather sign?
Mhm.
Okay, so you should share this story if you're open to
Yeah.
sharing it.
So I love this. Please do this. Anybody listening, like if you ask the universe will. It's by law. When you ask a question, it will answer it. But trust that you're going to get the answer. This particular mentor was quite an investment. I'm to be very clear. I want it to be very clear. It's kind of being like a little bit, not bitchy, but just demanding with the universe. I was like, I need it. And I want it to be very clear. And I want it to be undeniable. When I see this sign, I will know. And I said, I don't want it tomorrow. I want it by tonight. And I said, and I also kind of want to see, not kind of, I also want to see a white feather. Just kind of, can you add that into whatever the sign is? So I let it go, went to the store, came back, wasn't thinking about it at all. And then I was sitting with Kaleo, my husband, on the couch, and we were talking. And I said, we need someone like this person. And I said her name. I said, we need someone like this person to take what we have going over here. And I went like this and just go. And when I went like that with my hands, his computer turned off, the television turned off, like everything just went, poof. And he looked, he's like, what the hell just happened? And I was like, that was my sign. I'm telling you, Kaleo, she is powerful. She's the one who has done what you are wanting to do, right? Who's already like just paved the way and knows how to do it. And I was like, she's it. That's our sign. He was kind of on the fence and he's like, okay, hands up. We're in. Okay. Like he's looking at the universe, like, okay, I got it. Cause it was so bizarre. And then he walked off to go make dinner. And I kind of looked I was looking down and I was like, you know what, universe, though, I asked you for a white feather. And I was just kind of kidding. I was like, just kind of playing. I was like, but I did ask you for a white feather. And in the next second, I looked over, and underneath this, like we had a table out with a game that my kids were playing. Underneath the table was a giant white feather. And I was like, Kaleo, I'm like, get over here. I'm like, I need you to tell me. I need you to look under the table because I might be imagining this. I'm like, you need to tell me what's under the table. Just tell me right now. And he goes, a white feather. I'm like, okay, I'm not crazy. This is the person. So the signs are, you have to ask.
Maybe it's a coincidence. I don't believe in them. I think everything's very synchronistic, but I think a day later, did I send you a picture, or I just told you Fozzie out of nowhere came up to me with a white feather in his mouth?
In his mouth. Yeah.
Like, she's never done that before. I'm like, oh, Meika, if you just need a little additional hit of confirmation as well. I'm like, yeah. Yeah, it's so cool. It's such a great story.
There's been so many instances in my life where that's happened, where it's been, I need to know. Like, I feel like when you get not demanding, but commanding with the universe, if it's really important to you, you need to show up for me, show up and let me know in a really big way. It always works like that. It just does, it's just trusting in that and then not second guessing when when you see the signs and just going for it.
The sort of skeptics will say, well, you were looking for it. You were looking for that thing. And, I think when you command a very specific thing that you're not used to seeing, maybe that's the differentiation. But yeah, there's some truth to it. It's almost like the car you want to buy. You start seeing them everywhere.
Yeah.
You want to see it. But there's just an understanding that the circumstance in which it comes to, you're like, that's funny. The universe is really funny that way. The way that it shows up, I always find myself just sort of chuckling because I'm like, I wouldn't have imagined it coming to me that way, but I really appreciate the humor.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. To me, I look at timing. Have I seen white feathers before? Sure. We have pillows that have like small white feathers in them. Yet, I mean, I guess there could have been like a bigger white feather in a pillow but it was the timing of it. It was right when I said, I asked you for the white feather, joking, like I'm joking with the universe. And then what made me look under the table? Why am I look? I wasn't.
And why did you have a big white feather there? Where did it come from?
Exactly. Where did it come from? I have no idea. It's crazy. It's crazy cool.
Super crazy cool.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad that it actually happened and you're connected. When you're ready to share, if you want to share how things are going with that.
I'd love to. I mean, we're still in like process of getting everything that like this next version of what we're doing. It's in the creative space right now. And I know that it's like it's already done in an energetic sense. It is done, and I will share it. And when I do, I mean, I would love to have her on our podcast because she's super magical, super powerful. She's got a lot of wisdom, and she works mostly with women. She works with Kaleo and I, but she works mostly with women, but she's super powerhouse. So yeah, I'll definitely share more when the time comes.
She sounds cosmic. I was going to say something that you hit on that resonates, that is very congruent with manifestation, is when energetically you feel something is done. When you have that understanding and knowing about something you want so much that it feels like it's done, that's how it comes. Yeah. There's a wave and it's tied to it, and it's just having the patience to see it through, but it's happening.
Yes. I love that. And the bravery to stay on the wave, to stay on the wave and not jump ship, because it's sometimes when you're headed into something that's new or at the next level of where you're headed, there's an unknown. Even though it feels done, who am I in this new level of things? And in order to hold the space of the next level of where you're going or what you want to manifest, you have to step into a new version of yourself. That can feel scary, relating to the fear as excitement. And it's like surfing,
Right now I'm saying it's surfing that 10-foot wave you've never been on. You want to jump off because you don't want to crash, just staying on the board. Exactly. I was totally seeing that visual while we were talking about this.
Totally. And, I was listening to this wonderful woman who I tune into sometimes, and she was talking about that same metaphor of the wave. And she was talking about the feminine, I'm getting the chills, how she conceptualizes feminine energy is the beingness of being on the wave, and that you will be okay, taken care of in the womb, no matter what. Even if you fall, mm-hmm. You're caught. It's that beingness of beingness. It's just that there's nothing really to fear. The bigger the wave, the harder the fall, right? But it's like gosh, also the bigger the next level, and the bigger the excitement, the bigger the ride is, so much more
the reward.
And even if you fall, you're okay. You're
Mm-hmm.
okay. You can get back up. There's going to be another wave. That kind of a holding in, where like kind of masculine energy isn't as circular. It's not as womb like. They're both equally as powerful. It's just masculine energy is point A to point B. Point A to point B. I'm going from here to here. And the feminine energy is, I got you from here to here. I'm holding you from here to here. If you fall, if you catch the wave, if you catch another wave, you catch a bigger wave, you're okay. You're held. I just loved that when she shared that, because it just felt, yeah, let's ride the waves. Let's ride the waves.
That's beautiful. When we stop to think about things and how we process information, instead of just feeling like we have to persist through something, that there's a way through it and not around it or stuffing it.
Yeah, for sure. Yep. Just through it.
So much good medicine. Well, that concludes our 3rd episode of Hey Boo. We wish you well. May the divine hold and protect you.
And may you remember your magic.
And so it is.
And so it is.